welcome to our last topic. So this is chapter 8 and we will talk about bioremediation. So what is bioremediation? So this is a branch of biotechnology actually. Baka you have this topic is already incorporated in your biotech subjects like that or yung mga crop science subjects. But bioremediation is very important kasi after knowing the chemical structure, the chemical component of the fertilizers, after that, what will you do, okay? So in order to address yung mga left excess from the fertilizers or yung mga heavy metals that were left from the pesticides, okay? Then, address it also, we may address it using microorganisms. So, bioremediation employs the use of living organisms like microbes and bacteria, fungi, archaea, in the removal of contaminants, pollutants, and toxins from soil, water, and other environments. Okay, so it can be defined as any process that uses microorganisms, green plants, or their enzymes, okay, to return the natural environment altered by contaminants to its original condition. So microorganisms, uh, they they have the ability to transform these toxins, okay, into a less harmful or harmless byproduct like carbon dioxide and water. Also, green plants like for example is yung mga watercress, no? That is why after knowing that the watercress is very efficient in absorbing contaminants at medyo binawasan ko na yung pagkain ng watercress. And also enzymes can be produced by either microorganisms or plants. And this can also be inoculated, no? So that you can introduce it into a contaminated condition. So bioremediation, this means, so bio, no? So, and remediation, meaning the contaminants are already there, so you are just going to remediate it using using organisms. But in here, we are going to focus with microorganisms, of course. And bioremediation can be done in situ or ex situ. So in situ, of course, doon sa place mismo, doon sa contaminated place mismo, while ex situ is that you may ano ba, yung may, okay, of course, out doon sa original place. The reason for ex-situ, okay, is that sometimes kasi, no, super, ano ba yun, masyadong contaminated na yung area that it cannot be remediated using ito nga, using microorganisms. So, you have to at least little by little muna, no? Okay? Little by little na i-remediate yon before fully remediate the area. Okay? Bioremediation, hindi na ito bago sa atin, no? Kasi this is being used when it comes to oil spills, okay, in water areas, oceans like those. And also this is being used in bioremediating the yung mga contaminants from pesticides like yung mga chlorinated hydrocarbons, okay? Those can be transformed by microorganisms into a harmless compound. Okay? So, bioremediation versus biodegradation. Kasi sometimes nag-i-interchange ito, no? Pero technically, okay, bioremediation is the use of microorganisms to break down environmental pollutants, and this is artificially induced process. Okay, while biodegradation, this is the breakdown of organic matter by microorganisms, and this is a natural process. So parang bioremediation, this is transitive form of verb, tapos biodegradation, ito yung intransitive form kasi um, natural siya. Okay? Okay. So, bioremediation technologies, under it are, okay, we have many, not, hindi lang ang mga ito, okay? Bioventing, land farming, bioreactor, composting, bioaugmentation, rhizofiltration or phytoremediation, and then biostimulation. Okay, so sa bioventing, this is an in situ, okay? In situ practice, which is an on-site remediation technology that uses microorganisms to biodegrade organic constituents in the groundwater system. And in bioventing, it actually, so the microorganisms are already there, but you just have to enhance their activity or yung activity ng mga indigenous microorganisms that are present in that area in order for it to be more efficient. Okay, so this bioventing is yung pinaka key term here is there is the introduction of air or oxygen into the unsaturated zone ng area. Okay, so that yung kasi most of the microorganisms no they are ito ano yun they are aerobic microorganisms. Okay? And of course, they need oxygen. So in there, ano to? The activities of the microorganisms can be stimulated with the introduction of oxygen. Okay? We also have this land farming. Itong land farming naman, this is an ex situ. Okay? This is a waste treatment process that is performed in the upper soil zone or in biotreatment cells. Contaminated soil, sediments, or sludges are transported to the land farming site, mixed into the soil surface, and periodically turned over to aerate the mixture. So, yun, land farming, ang key term naman dito is yung turning over of the soil to aerate the mixture. So land farming, this is commonly used. This commonly uses a clay or composite liner, a clay lang, okay, to intercept leaching contaminants and prevent groundwater pollution, okay. However, itong land farming, sabi doon is ex situ, no, but actually this can be done in situ. So bakit siya tinawag na land farming is that yung you need wide area in order to do this, okay? So you can use ano ba yun? So in here, okay, tinatransfer yung soil, no? Yung contaminated soil, or you can just turn over yung soil doon mismo sa site. Okay? Pero more commonly, this is being done ex situ. Okay? And then, bioreactor, composting, no? Very common ito kasi we are also doing this naman. When we do composting kasi, we are enhancing the microorganisms activity. Okay? And these microorganisms, okay, they commonly, naturally, they have the ability to, to degrade contaminants because sometimes they get their energy from these contaminants, no? transforming it a usable form within their metabolism. So this is being done by microorganisms through cellular metabolism. That is why ang pinoproduce nila is mga carbon dioxide, methane, mga ganyan, it anaerobic microorganism and ano pa ba? And oxygen, water, ganyan. And then, okay. What are the requirements for bioremediation? So, the presence of contaminant, and then yung necessary environment, okay? And then, microorganisms, of course. Doon sa, kasi wala naman silang i-degrade or wala naman silang i-remediate if the contaminants are not there. And of course, when it comes to environment, yung microorganisms have their own ability, capacity, they have their own needs when it comes to temperature, moisture content, pH, electron acceptors, and nutrients. So, depende din yan sa microorganisms. Now, in general, no, for temperature, this influences the rate of bioremediation by controlling rate of enzymatic reactions within microorganisms. So most bacteria which are able to degrade petroleum hydrocarbons are mesophiles. Kapag sinabi nating mesophiles, temperature should be 20 to 40 degrees Celsius. Okay, so moisture content, most microorganisms require moisture for cell growth and in order to function. So this affects diffusion of soluble nutrients into and out of the microbial cell. 45 to 50% water holding capacity of soil is optimal for hydrocarbon remediation. Um, So, ano yung mga hydrocarbon, yung mga na-mention ko ito? These are the components of the pesticides, no? Di ba? Remember, the classes of pesticides. So, may mga organophosphates, ano ba to? CH. Tama ba? Hydrocarbons, CHC, mga ganyan, okay? DDTs belong to organophosphate, ayan. And of course, pH, pH of 7 is the optimal for petroleum hydrocarbon bioremediation. And nutrients, kasi yung mga pesticides, they still contain yung mga elements din naman. So, those are being used by the microorganisms. Okay, so they use those as their energy. Okay, so microorganisms, and then yung mga present microorganisms, these are not just, okay, microorganisms because they have to be metabolically capable. They should be able to degrade, okay? And then, meron ding mga indigenous or yung mga not cultured microorganisms that are naturally present there. And then, genetically engineered microorganisms also can be introduced, okay? So, the mechanism of aerobic and anaerobic bioremediation, okay? We have here aerobic microorganisms and then anaerobic microorganisms. Okay, so the organic compounds or the residues from the pesticides, okay? The aerobic microorganisms, they uses oxygen as their electron acceptor, and their final product, okay, are carbon dioxide and water. Okay, and yung mga contaminants that they have absorbed, example are yung mga hydrocarbons, okay, they have already transformed that into their energy. So it is already used up. Okay? So for anaerobic naman, okay, the same mechanism wherein instead of oxygen though, they uses halogens or nitrates or sulfates as their electron acceptor, and the final products are carbon dioxide and water plus another gas. This could be methane or etc. Okay, now yung first step there kasi is the oxidation. So always kasi ang may mga microorganisms, most of the microorganisms, uh, this requires oxygen. Therefore, bioremediation is more efficient in an aerated condition or environment. Okay, so oxidation, this consists of the transfer of an electron from the reductants to the oxidants. And the involved enzymes are the oxygenase and lactase. Okay, so the oxygenase enzyme catalyzes the oxidation reaction by incorporating one or two molecules of oxygen, while lactase enzyme cleaves the ring present in aromatic compounds and reduce oxygen to water, uh, producing free radicals. Okay? Mga radicals na ito, these are the carbon dioxide and then water, or yung kanilang final byproduct. Now, during the reaction, okay, heat or energy is generated, and this is utilized by the microorganisms for their metabolic activities. Okay, remember yung cellular respiration? Okay, doon nagagamit yung mga inaabsorb na contaminants, okay, transforming it into a harmless compound. Okay? So how does bioremediation works? Okay, so bioremediation reduces pesticide contamination via metabolic activities of microorganisms. It stimulates the growth of certain microbes that utilize contaminants like oil, solvents, and pesticides for sources of food and energy. Okay? So microbes convert contaminants or toxic compounds into small amounts of water, as well as harmless gases like carbon dioxide through cellular metabolism. So as we have mentioned a while ago. And then a key role in the biotransformation mechanisms is carried out by enzymes such as hydrolases, peroxidases, oxygenases, lactase, okay, that influence and catalyze the biochemical reactions. Now, the degradation process. Okay, phase 1. Pesticides are transformed into more water-soluble and less toxic products through oxidation, reduction, or hydrolysis reactions. Okay, I hope um, memorize na ninyo yung mga terms na to ha, oxidation reaction, hydrolysis. Okay, hydrolysis, this involves water. Okay, so phase 2. The phase 1 products are converted into sugars and amino acids. This is within the cell, microorganism cell, which have higher water solubility and lower toxicity. Okay, so yung mga hydrocarbons, they are being transformed into sugars or carbohydrates or amino acids that are usable or can be utilized by microorganisms. The last phase, conversion of the phase 2 metabolites into less toxic secondary conjugates. So, yun na yung production of carbon dioxide and water. Okay, what are the advantages of bioremediation? Okay, so it relies on natural processes, thus it minimizes damage to ecosystems. It is cheaper than most cleanup methods because it does not require substantial equipment or labor. So it is efficient, it is cost effective, and most important is it is environment healthy process. Okay. And examples of the microorganisms involved in bioremediation, we have here aerobic bacteria. Um, Examples are Pseudomonas. Yung genus Pseudomonas, example is this Pseudomonas putida species. Okay, we also have Rhodococcus sp, Mycobacterium sp. So these three show to degrade pesticides and hydrocarbon pollutants in soil. They are able to utilize contaminants as sole source of carbon and energy. Then Flavobacterium, a recalcitrant which can metabolize and hydrolyze organophosphate pesticides. Okay, so when we say recalcitrant, these are microorganisms that are slowly biodegradable or hindi sila madaling mamatay, long yung life nila. Okay? So, also they persist in an extended period of uh, any kind of environment. So, this could survive in any environmental condition. Extreme man yan, okay? Whether very cold or very hot. Okay? And then we also have methanotrophs. This is an aerobic bacteria that uses methane as carbon and energy source. So instead of oxygen, methane, sorry. Um, so methane, these are also mga byproduct, no? So, and usually the methane are also a pollutants, okay? Active against chlorinated aliphatics, trichloroethane, example. So uh, they could degrade this kind of compounds. And then anaerobic bacteria, this can remediate polychlorinated biphenyls. Okay. Dechloromonas aromatica, this oxidizes aromatic pollutants like benzoate and toluene. Okay. So again these are components of mga pesticides. Deinococcus radiodurans, an extremophile microorganism used to remediate heavy metals and mercury in the soil. Okay, again, another microorganism that could thrive under extreme environments. Alcanivorax borcumensis, a marine bacteria which can consume hydrocarbon and produce carbon dioxide. Okay. Next is we also have fungi. Okay, they produces extracellular enzymes that degrade lignin, and fungi are actually better degraders than bacteria due to their characteristics, such as they have specific bioactivity, and then their growth morphology, no, um, ang dali nilang dumami like bacteria, pero fungi, they are versatile microorganisms. And then they are also more resistant to high pH, okay? Unlike bacteria. Okay, so they have strong potential in pesticide and carbon tetrachloride bioremediation. Examples are trichoderma. A natural decomposition agent could transform pesticides by detoxification through metabolism by broad-spectrum enzymes. And then Phanerochaete chrysosporium, okay? The year 1985, this was discovered. Okay, so this is a white rat fungi used to metabolize multiple pollutants. It has the ability to transform and mineralize specific pesticides. Okay, Formitopsis pinicola and then Graeophyllum chabeum. These two showed ability to eliminate DDT in soil. Archaeal, okay, Halobacterium, Halotherax, and then Halococcus. Okay, mga archaea ha, um, these are just bacteria. So these are also Ayan. Ano na yun? So, these are also tama ba? Prokaryotic microorganism. They are single-celled, okay, organisms. Pero they are not bacteria. Okay, so these examples were known to evaluate the potential to biodegrade crude oil and hydrocarbons in soil. Archaeoglobus fulgidus, a hyperthermophile which can break down various aromatic compounds. So, microorganisms capable to degrade several pesticides. Okay, so we have here examples of pesticides, and then the microorganisms that could degrade this kind of pesticides. So we have for chlorpyrifos, can be degraded by Ochrobacterium sp. And then cypermethrin by Bacillus subtilis. DDT, okay, can be degraded by Fomitopsis pinocola and Ralstonia piquetti. Deltamethrin, Streptomyces rhamnosus, and okay, and so on. And so on talaga. Okay, so these are mga insecticides, no? We also have mga herbicides. Okay, ano bang very common dito? So we have here glyphosate that can be degraded by fusarium, and then glyphosate and its metabolites which can be degraded by Pseudomonas and Pseudomonas fluorescens. Okay, and then for fungicides, we have epoxiconazole and fludiosonil, and then tebuconazole. Okay, so this can be degraded by Azospirillum acinetobacter and Serratia marcescens. Okay, so mga studies. Okay, so between 1989 and 1990, more than 100,000 pounds or 359 kilograms of fertilizer was applied over more than 2,000 applications to the affected areas. And then by mid-1992, so within just 2 years, the cleanup was considered complete and the fertilizer had degraded nearly all the oil compounds. So, sorry, this is in the US. And then the cleanup of oil spills by the addition of nitrate and or sulfate fertilizers to facilitate the decomposition of crude oil by indigenous or exogenous bacteria. Okay? So ito naman is with the use of fertilizers. Ano ba? That's, okay, so that's all, folks. That's it. Okay, so, alright. Good luck on your exams and activities, and of course, to your journeys ahead of you. So, you may actually formulate a thesis proposal with this concept, yung bioremediation concept, no? Like formulating or discovering a microorganism from the soil or from, usually ang mga efficient microorganisms in bioremediation are located also doon sa mga contaminated soil. So, you may extract those microorganisms, you do pure culture so that you may extract those, and then pwede nyong ihalo from other microbial inoculants, ganyan. So, parang study lang, ganun. Tapos, with that, you may use that, so may formulation na doon, no? You may use that to test its efficacy, okay? So, yung efficacy ng microbial inoculant that you have formulated, okay, in degrading soils, example here in Benguet, that are contaminated with heavy metal. So, for example, meron kasi yung study nila Sir Laurian, okay, na yung presence of heavy metals, or they have tested the levels of heavy metals in Bugyas, Benguet. Kaso that was not published kasi yun nga, it is a confidential matter. Baka, okay? Kailangan kasi ng mga approval doon eh. And hindi nag-approve syempre yung mga, number one, ay yung mga residents doon. Of course, anong iisipin ng tao kapag nalaman nila na the soils are contaminated with heavy metals, mga ganon. Okay, so, pero yun is pwede naman ninyong i-retrieve yung study na yun, tapos gamitin yun in your next study in case na gusto ninyong mag-focus, okay? Mag-propose ng ganitong study, yung dun sa bioremediation technique, okay? So, in cases like those, no, you may approach Ma'am Jen kasi siya ang mas, ayan, mas, siya yung in line with this subject, microbiology. Okay? So, pero in doing that, no, okay, balikan niyo yung mga activities, no, di ba? First is yung collection of soil sample and then inoculation or inoculation of that soil sample, and then yung use of agar to pure culture to get the pure culture of that microorganism. And then after that, yung nakuha ninyong pure culture na yon of that microorganism is pwede ninyong i-introduce with mga inoculants or yung mga, ano ba yung tawag doon? Yung mga fermented, mga ganyan. Pwede din yung mga yon kasi those are rich in microorganisms. So, ayun. And then you may use that to test, okay? Or test niyo yung efficacy niya in reducing contaminants on or in contaminated soils. So, yan. Just a clue. Pero, pagdating sa microorganism, medyo matagal kasi kapag na-contaminate yan, uulitin talaga. Yan. So, that's it. Thank you very much for listening. And then, so, this is our last meeting na kasi, no?